Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and technically doing a Gate Guardian deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because this deck was actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Wesley. And this deck is an amazing going second build of Gate Guardian that can easily OTK your opponent. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. And definitely give Wesley some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this one, guys. So first off, we're playing 2 copies of Sanga of the Thunder, 2 copies of Kazejin, and 2 copies of Suijin. These cards are amazing at 2 each in the build to basically just use these cards to step into your Gate Guardian fusions, but I feel like 2 copies of each is perfect because you'll easily go through 2 copies of each of these cards to step into all your different fusions so you can OTK. We then play a single copy of Dark Guardian. Dark Guardian is an amazing one-of in the build that has a really cool ability that also counts as a Gate Guardian card always, and it cannot be normal summoner set. It must either be special summon with Dark Element or by special summoning from your hand or graveyard by shuffling into your deck all the Gate Guardian pieces from your hand, face on the field, graveyard, or banishment, and it cannot be destroyed by battle, which is so cool. Also, if this card is special summoned by the effect of Dark Element, it's unaffected by other monster effects activated by your opponent and spell effects, which is so cool. We then play a single copy of Heavy Labyrinth Tank. This card is a good one-of in the deck, because I actually have a different normal summon that I'm using in this particular build, so I'm only playing a single copy of this card. I know it looks a little bit weird, but I feel like 1 copy is really all you need for this build, because there's actually a better normal summon in this deck. But this card is really good as a one-of in the build to basically just place one of your Gate Guardian pieces in your back row, and it's really good to be able to use with your field spell. We then play 3 copies of Shadow Ghoul of the Labyrinth. Shadow Ghoul of the Labyrinth is definitely a 3-of in the build to be able to use in this deck, as this card is basically terraforming that you can discard this card to add a Labyrinth Wall card from your deck to your hand, which is always going to be your field spell that you're searching off this card's effect to instantly get it to your hand so that you can go in for game. And it's such an important card to be able to get to because it actually places your Gate Guardian pieces in your spell and trap card zones, so you can basically get them on your side of the field so you can start going in for game. We then play 2 copies of Elemental Hero Prisma. Prisma is extremely important in the deck as a 2-of because this card actually has a crazy powerful effect that you can reveal a fusion monster in your extract, send a material that's listed on that card from your deck to the graveyard, and then this card becomes that card that you send to the graveyard until the end of the turn. So basically what you do is you reveal your copy of your Gate Guardian combined and then send any of the Gate Guardian pieces that you need to the graveyard as cost, which is extremely important about this card that it actually sends for cost. And then this card's name is treated as that Gate Guardian piece so you can go in for more fusions. We then play 3 copies of Armageddon Knight. Armageddon Knight is insane in this deck, and actually the better normal summon over your copy of Labyrinth Heavy Tank, because this card sends a dark monster from your deck to the graveyard, and the card we want to send to the graveyard off our copy of Armageddon Knight is our copy of Zaphros the Elite. Zaphros the Elite is extremely important as a one of the deck to go along with our copy of Armageddon Knight, because in this going second build, we've actually prioritized using Riryoku Guardian to OTK our opponent, and with a copy of Armageddon Knight plus the field spell or a copy of your Shadow Ghoul of the Labyrinth, you can actually OTK your opponent with your copy of Thunder and Wind, because you can actually bounce your copy of your field spell back to your hand off the effect of Zaphros Elite and take 400 points of damage as well, which is super cool to be able to actually do, because your life points will be less than your opponent, so you can actually activate Riryoku Guardian to OTK, as well half your opponent's life points, and then add those amount of life points to your monster's attack points. It's a Gate Guardian monster, so you can swing in for massive damage and go in for game. Plus, you can use these 2 cards to go in for a really cool extract monster that's going to make your attack points get even higher to OTK your opponent, which is so cool. But these cards are extremely important in the deck, and actually why I'm only playing a single copy of Heavy Labyrinth Tank in the deck, because I feel like Armageddon Knight's a little bit more important than normal summon. We then play 2 copies of Magician Souls. Magician Souls is great as a 2-of in the build, but you can actually use this card as a draw engine and to help you send your copy of Kazaijin to the graveyard because it's a level 6 or higher spellcaster. You can actually send Kazaijin to the graveyard for the effect of Magician Souls to special summon itself, and then you can use it to draw cards, which is really cool because you can actually send your Gate Guardian pieces in the spell and trap cards onto the graveyard to draw a Magician Souls effect. We then play a single copy of Illusion of Chaos. Illusion of Chaos searches at our copy of Magician Souls, which is why we just play a single copy of it in the deck, is we can search it out with our copy of Preparation of Rites. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Rhoda. Rhoda is really important as a 1-of in build to basically just use this card to add our copy of Armageddon Knight directly from our deck to our hand so we can go in for game. We then play a single copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. Feather Duster is really important as a 1-of, especially in this going second build, to basically just activate this card and go in for game because you're just dealing with your opponent's back row. We then play a single copy of Lightning Storm. I feel like 1 is really all you need in that because we are playing Thrust in this build as well, so you can easily search this card from your deck to your hand, plus we're playing other board breakers in the deck, so this is kind of like playing 2 copies of Feather Duster, which is why I play 1 of each. We play a single copy of Talents. Talents is great in the deck as a 1-of to help you either draw 2 cards, take control of an opponent's monster, or look at your opponent's hand and choose a card from it and shuffle it into the deck. We then play a single copy of Ryuryoku Guardian. This card is the most important card in this going second build because it's searchable off your copy of Thunder and Wind, so you can actually activate this card if your life points are lower than your opponent's, and we're playing Zafros, so they will be. You can actually target 1 monster you control with Gate Guardian in its original name, half your opponent's life points, and then your monster that's a Gate Guardian monster gains those as attack points, which is really cool. So for example, if your opponent's at 8,000 life points, we pay our 400 for Zafros. We half our opponent's life points, which is a total of 4,000. They'll become 4,000 life points, and we add those 4,000 life points to our Gate Guardian monster as attack points, making it super easy to OTK your opponent. Plus, just like all of your other Gate Guardian spells and traps, you can manage this card in the graveyard, and then add 1 of your Gate Guardian pieces to your hand from your deck or banishment, which is really cool. We then play a single copy of Dark Element. Dark Element is great as a 1-of in the build to help us summon another copy of Dark Guardian. It's just a cool 1-of that if you have a Gate Guardian monster in the graveyard, you can pay half your life points to special summon a level 11 Gate Guardian monster from your hand, deck, or extract. It has to be level 11 or higher to be able to special summon it out to your side of the field, ignoring its summoning conditions, which is a great effect. And I'm just playing 1 in this build because we can search it with our copy of Thrust just in case we need to. We play a single copy of Double Attack, Wind, and Thunder. This card is searchable and really good as a pop because it just basically pops a card on the field that if you control a Gate Guardian monster, target a card on the field and destroy it, which is a great effect. But again, I feel like in this deck playing so many different board breakers, this card is basically just a searchable pop 1. We then play 2 copies of Thrust. Thrust is insane in this deck because it basically searches everything on this top row except for your copy of Double Attack, Wind, and Thunder, because Double Attack is actually a quick play spell. But this card can basically search Feather Duster, it can search Lightning Storm, your copy of Talents, it can search your copy of Dark Element, and search anything that you need from your deck to your hand to help you go in for game. We can play 2 copies of Preparation of Rites. Preparation of Rites is great as a 2-of in the build. Basically, search out your copy of Illusion of Chaos so you can get to your copy of Souls. We then play 3 copies of Raigeki. This is a going second build, so you want to play basically board breakers in this deck. So Raigeki's really good in a lot of decks because nobody expects it to basically just drop a copy of Raigeki, summon out your copy of Wind and Thunder, and then activate Ryuryoku Guardian to go in for game. It is so easy to do and so hilarious to be able to do because it actually goes with the theme because you play basically into the Sangha aspect of the deck where you're trying to make Wind and Thunder as quickly as possible to search out your copy of Ryuryoku and go in for game. And it's so easy to basically break your opponent's board. With a copy of Feather Duster, Lightning Storm, and your copies of Raigeki, you're always breaking board because you're basically going to start with 6 cards in your hand because we're going second and we can easily break board and go in for game. We then play 3 copies of A Hero Lives. A Hero Lives summons out our copy of Prisma directly from our deck to our side of the field, which is awesome to instantly get our copy of Prisma to our side of the field by paying half our life points, which will half our life points so that we can help us summon out our copy of Prisma and then turn it into a Gate Guardian piece. We then play 3 copies of Labyrinth Wall Shadow. Labyrinth Wall Shadow is one of the most important cards in the entire deck with this Armageddon Knight build, because this card has the ability that it's a soft once per turn to place one of your Gate Guardian pieces in your back row, which is super cool, and monsters cannot attack the turn they are summoned except monsters whose original level is 5 or higher, which is great for us and bad for any deck that's playing Xyz or playing a deck that's Link monsters. We're not worried about that though, because we're basically summoning out a big Gate Guardian monster and going in for game. But this card is really cool to help you place your Gate Guardian pieces in your back row so that you can go in for game and go in for your fusion monster. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Gate Guardian Combine. You only need 2 copies of this card. This card is a thrice per turn targeting negation, which is absolutely insane, and all of your Gate Guardian fusion monsters float into other cards as well. So if this card does get removed from the field by an opponent's card, you basically get to float into one of your 2-segment fusions, which is really cool. And the unique thing about this card is you can actually use your Gate Guardian pieces in your hand, field, or your graveyard, where the 2-segment pieces have to have the Gate Guardian pieces on the field to be able to go into them. And you don't have to use polymerization for any one of your Gate Guardian fusion monsters. You basically just contact fuse into them, which is really, really cool. We then play a single copy of Gate Guardian of Thunder and Wind. This card is the most important of all the Gate Guardian fusions, because this card searches any card from our deck to our hand that mentions Gate Guardian that's a spell or trap, meaning we search out our Riryoku Guardian, all of this card's effect, and then activate it to make this card 6,500. And then when one of the other cards, we can actually make this card 13,000 attack points to help us go in for game. And it's super easy to do in this deck by just having basically a copy of the Labyrinth Wall Shadow plus Armageddon Knight. Goes full combo. We then play a single copy of Gate Guardian of Water and Thunder. This card drops monsters down to 0 attack points on the field up to twice per turn, which is hilarious to be able to do to help us go in for game. We then play 2 copies of Gate Guardian of Wind and Water. This is just in case we go first. I feel like 2 copies is perfect in the deck because this card is a crazy powerful effect that it's a twice per turn, once per chain spell and trap negate, which is super cool to be able to do and such a powerful effect. We play a single copy of number 60. This is a card I've been basically hinting at the entire profile. This card is really important to be able to play because you basically activate Riryoku Guardian, half your opponent's life points, make your copy of Gate Guardian of Thunder and Wind, go up to 6,500, and then double its attack points with your copy of number 60 because Zephyr, the Elite, and Armageddon Knight, conveniently enough, are both level 4, so you can make this and double the attack points of your copy of Thunder and Wind to go to 13,000, so you can OTK extremely easily. We then play a single copy of Typhon. Typhon's just a really good option, especially in this going second build to make, and it's just really easy to OTK your opponent with this card. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code is great and super easy to make in this particular build to help us pop multiple cards on the field and help us go in for game. We then play a single copy of Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. Really good to be able to summon out. If it destroys a monster by battle, it either goes up by 1,500, can make a second attack during the next battle phase of the next turn, or non-targeting banish a card off the field. And if you use a level 7 or higher monster to link summon this card, your opponent cannot target it with card effects, and it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects either, making this card an absolute tank of a boss monster to make. We play a single copy of Selene. Selene is great to help us climb into our copy of Access Code. We play a single copy of Pentastag. Pentastag is really good as a 1-of in the build, as this card is just really powerful overall because it gives us piercing damage, which is really important to help us go in for game. 1 copy of SP. SP is awesome in this deck. It's a 1-of to be able to make, because it's a double interruption. 1 copy of IP, so we can go into our copy of SP during the opponent's turn, which is so cool to be able to do. And then finally, a single copy of Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep is really good as a 1-of in the build to be able to make, because we do summon out fusion monsters quite often in this deck, so we can basically bring them back to our side of the field, bring back like a copy of Costigan or Magician's Soul to our side of the field, climb into our copy of Selene, and then Access Code extremely easily in this deck. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a going second build of Gate Guardian, you should definitely give this deck a try. It's so fun to be able to break your opponent's board, and it's so easy to draw into your combos in this deck to help you go in for game, and it's just an absolutely amazing deck. So that's gonna be this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.